I'm on the top of Lagoon Saddle in the Craigieburn Forest Park, right on the boundary with the Arthur's Pass National Park. And for those of you that don't know my channel, I'm in New Zealand, in the South Island. We've got a gorgeous, moody day. And tonight, I'm off to camp without a tent, just under my Small Rain Tarp, with my sleeping bag, in this beautiful, cold autumn weather. If you don't know how I got here, then you haven't seen my previous video. And if you haven't, make sure you go back and check it out, because I'm on night 2 of a 2-day hike and camp adventure. And last night I camped down there, right down in the valley. It's hard to see now, but there's a beautiful mountain tarn. And I spent a gorgeous night camping in my hammock with a lovely warm fire. So glad you're joining me for this one. I'm really looking forward to it. It's so nice to be out for 2 days and not be in a hurry. This track down from Lagoon Saddle gets really muddy after there's been rain, but on the plus side you get all these beautiful little streams forming. Just these tiny little streams running into the track, and if you listen carefully you can hear some of the little rivers forming down in the valley. This area can be really wet. Last night it was very wet, and the grasses here are absolutely saturated. So it's going to be very interesting finding a place to camp. I haven't brought a ground sheet. That wasn't smart, was it? Oh well, you live and learn. I pretty much brought everything else for 2 nights of camping. I've got my hammock that I slept in last night, and I think I'll use that as a ground sheet. There you go. So I had an idea to camp alongside the stream further up, like higher up the mountain, up Mount Bruce. But I was looking at those tussocks, the mountain grasses, and they're really lumpy and bunchy. And I can't see how I'm going to find a place to camp amongst those. So I've got another idea. I'm going to follow this river down and just see if we can find a nice little spot, maybe where it flattens out, maybe where we can get a view down the valley when it clears later on, or at least tomorrow morning. Let's go exploring. I just love exploring and looking for spots to camp. It's so much fun, and there's just this incredible wealth of opportunities out here. I know that most people, certainly in New Zealand, start off their hiking and camping by going to Department of Conservation huts, and those, they're like cabins. What do you call them in Scotland? Bothies, is that what you call them? I probably pronounced that wrong, but anyway, we've got serviced and unserviced huts that you can stay in, and that's a great place to start if you want to get out camping, because you know that you don't have to take a tent, you don't have to take a mat, you know there's going to be other people and you've got that security. But if you're somebody who likes exploring, I'd really encourage you to just step off the beaten track. This is 10 minutes from the track, if that. I've just followed that river down, popped out here onto the tussocks. I've got an incredible view of the Waimakariri River all the way up towards Arthur's Pass. I will, when it clears, be able to see across to Mount Rolleston, and across on this side to the Beeley Spur. It's incredible, and you don't have to go far to find some amazing places. As long as you've got good topographical maps and you've got a good sense of navigation and you don't drift too far off the track. If you're going to do it, find a landmark like a river and just follow that for a few minutes. Find a little spot. I found this spot here. I've got this lovely flat area with some soft mossy ground, which is going to be really comfortable. I'm close enough to the river to get water. I'm close enough to the trees that I can do things like find some sticks to raise my tarp, and there's a little gem just over here that I want to show you guys. I wasn't sure that I'd be able to have a fire, but I've got this wonderful pit here, and the ground is, I'm not even going to touch it, it's wet and clayey. There's rocks here. I can just move these grasses away, create a fire pit, and it's far away from anything flammable. We've got grasses here and we've got dracophyllum, which are both flammable during the middle of summer especially, and when it's dry, but we have got water all over everything. It has been raining hard out overnight, so I am comfortable that we can have a fire tonight. So let's get stuck in. I'm going to need to go down and find some sticks for the tarp, get the tarp up, and then it's time for a cup of tea. It's always time for a cup of tea. You don't need an excuse. Two trips. Oh, hate making two trips. Because I've already made 3. Not many big pieces, and I'm going to have to use one of those for the tarp. I choose you, the chosen one. I'd love the tarp to be as high as possible so that I can move around quite freely. Last night I kept having to stoop down, but the only problem is and it's a self-induced problem. I don't want to use up 2 of my sticks, and I think I'm going to use my hiking pole. So whatever the maximum height is of this, I'll cut that the same so that we have a tidy, beautiful tarp. Okay, that's as high as it's going to be. Which is perfect because I've got a couple of little notches here where branches have come off, and that's a good place to hook the loop where the guy line is at the top of, on the edge of the tarp. And I've still got some firewood. Right, where does it look flat for sleeping? I've only got a small tarp. This is my Rab Stiltarp 1, and I think it's maybe 2.5 by 1.8 meters. I'd have to double check that, but it's not big. And there's a reason why I've brought it, and the main reason I've brought it is because I only have 2 tarps at the moment. My DD Hammocks one ripped, and my other one, which is bomb-proof, Stony Creek Drone. It's bright orange. I don't really want bright orange out here. It's beautifully stealth using a green tarp, so that's what I've got. 2.4 by 1.5. 1.5 wide is not a lot. And I discovered this when I used this at the top of the Kelly Saddle. So that way, through Arthur's Pass, you go past Arthur's Pass Township, just past Otera, up onto the Kelly Saddle, and had a lovely camp out there, but it rained and it was quite tricky getting protection behind me and getting enough in front of me. The good thing is, even though it's inclement, the weather now, it's not going to rain tonight. So all I really want it for is dew, so should be fine. Most of the time I work things out by trial and error, and I worked out after the first time I put the tarp up that it was too high at the back, and I don't like that because I don't feel protected enough when it's like that. So instead I'm going to raise the front, and I've put a shorter stick on the side along with my hiking pole. And one more small problem. Oh, golly. Apart from tripping over guy lines, I wasn't planning to be out camping like this. Last night I was going to spend the night in a hut, and then when it didn't work out I thought I'd spend tonight in the hut. But there's people there, so I hadn't come equipped with lots of pegs for putting the tarp up like this when there's no trees. So I'm going to have to make some pegs. Pretty chunky peg, but I'm sure it'll be all right. night 2 of 2. I feel like it should be so early because I've just come from my last camp and set this camp up. But it's already 3:50. 3:50, so good time for a cup of tea. Massive cup of tea. You know how there's always somebody in a workplace who has their cup of tea in like one of those really massive mugs that's about the size of 2? That's me today. It's never me normally. No. You get so busy doing things, racing around, and I always find when I get home that I am so thirsty, and the next day I'm even thirsty, so I have to keep reminding myself, drink, 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 drink. Drink. Who was it? Who was that TV character? He was like an ex-priest. Was it Father Ted? It wasn't Father Ted, but there was another character in Father Ted, like an old priest. He'd sort of fallen off the wagon, and he just used to say, "Drunk." It has only just begun. Oh dear. You always think, you always think you have enough and you just don't. My struggle is that I'm tired, like just physically tired from already having spent a night out. I don't have a whole lot of puff for cutting and chopping firewood. Oh, we're on a flight path. I can hear an airplane. I've got lots of kindling and lots of medium-sized pieces, but the big branches that need sawing, I don't have that many of because I'm tired. I have got some pretty nice pieces though, so even though it was raining last night, I seem to have been able to find a few good branches. Inside's beautifully dry. Right, honestly, that's going to have to be enough. So this is my underquilt, the One Wind flare hammock underquilt, but I might as well use it. It'll just give me another layer of warmth. The ground seemed pretty flat, but now that I'm kneeling here I can feel there's a little bit of a slope going this way. So what I'll do tonight is put my pack here and just like tuck my pack just under my mat so that there's like a little edge, like a boundary, and I can't start sliding down the hill. Oh my goodness. Just look at that. That just looks so warm and cozy. I'm so excited to go to sleep. I'm just waiting for this to burn down a little bit. I put a nice bed of kindling, including some really flammable turpentine plant, Dracophyllum, underneath the firelighter. So rather than just putting everything on top, I make sure I've got a nice bed of dry, or as dry as can be, kindling underneath so that the embers fall down into that. This was a complete surprise. I thought I'm just going to walk back along the track and see what I can find, and I had a little idea that we'd come to this river and go up, but this is amazing. It's the view that's amazing, and it's quite It's quite uncommon to get a really still evening like this. Normally in New Zealand there's a fair bit of wind, especially around this area. So I can't always do these kind of camps. You know, ones where I'm so exposed. It's funny, I couldn't see anything down in the valley, as in any trace of humans. And now that night is falling, I can see lights. Just the odd car coming along, I think it's State Highway 73 from Greymouth to Christchurch. Just keep seeing the odd car lights, and there's one permanent set of lights down there at Klondike campsite. So funny because they'll be able to see me. They wouldn't have seen me before because I'm very stealth, aren't I? But they'll probably end up being able to see my fire. Well, I have another one of these meals, and I say another because I had one of these last night. I have this radix basil pesto meal, and I've mentioned a couple of times I find these really salty. I bought a whole lot and now I'm trying to make my way through them. I just honestly don't think that I can handle it. So instead I'm going to have a very plain meal. I'm going to have some instant mashed potato and some cold sliced egg, which was left over from my lunch. Normally when I go out, I cook up these elaborate meals because I really enjoy having something nice to eat when I'm outdoors. It's such a reward at the end of the day. Oh, I've got carrots. Forgot about those for my lunch too. But when you're out for 2 nights and you're trying to conserve space and weight, I thought those were the answer, but it's just reminded me how much I dislike them. And I don't even know that it's radix meals only. I don't know that I've ever found any that I really like. I mean, look, you're asking a lot to have a meal that's flavourful but not salty, that tastes good but is rehydrated. Give me raw food any day. Might not be gourmet, but I am so looking forward to this. Mashed potato and eggs. Oh, that's so funny. Can you see the lights in the distance? Those are car headlights coming along State Highway 73. Fire's just burning itself out. And I think we've been enveloped into the cloud because there's quite a lot of moisture in the air. I'm really glad I've got my tarp over me. I've moved myself back up here to the tent / tarp to have my dinner. Ta-da! Right, well, I'm in bed, all wrapped up in my sleeping bag and this underquilt, so it should be really nice and warm. Hopefully we get some sunshine tomorrow. Good night. Good night. Morning. Such a treat to have such a still morning. It's like a tiny little breeze, but that's it. We're in a really exposed place here. So it's such a treat. Got a rooibos chai tea. So refreshing to drink. So I'm going to have that before my coffee. So I feel like I really need it. 3 days and 2 nights in the mountains. I'm feeling a bit dehydrated. always tie my guy lines up before I pack it up and put it in my pack. Even if I don't roll it up and pack it back in its bag, it's going to come out and go on the washing line. And I've learned from my mistakes, if you leave the guy lines hanging long and loose and it flaps around on your washing line, you end up with an absolute mess of tangled guy lines to try and untangle later. So that's why I always take the time to do that, even though right now I just love to stuff it in my pack. Well, I've got a couple more things to get into the pack and then it's time to go. I want to say a big shout out to a couple of people. I'll pop your names up on the screen. These amazing people have become members recently on my channel, or have donated me something through YouTube Super Thanks recently, or bought Indy and I some camping treats on Buy Me a Coffee. So thank you very much to you guys. And also a big thank you to my Buy Me a Coffee members. I don't mention you by name every time, but every month you donate a small amount to me that really, really helps to fund these adventures. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Alright, I don't really want to leave this beautiful place, but we've got a bit of a walk to get out of here. I'm going to cross over the river, and instead of following it back up onto the track, I don't know. Okay, 50-50, I'm debating. So I've had a look on the maps and I can cross the river and then just walk on this same sort of contour line, same elevation, and I'll meet up with the track because it slowly comes down. But it does mean I'm going to have to find my own way through the tussocks, and I have a feeling I'm going to regret it. Might just go back up the river. We'll see. We'll see. You'll find out soon. I'll do some filming on the way out because it's really beautiful. There's all this open tussock, and I don't know that we'll get a huge amount of view because the mist is coming in. But then we cross through this small little bit of exotic pine forest, which has obviously been planted way back in the day. And then we go through some native bush, and that's so pretty. So I'll show you that on the way out. Okay, we're off. Let's go and see how we can find our way back up to the track. Oh, it's hard going on the body when it's the third day of walking. Just getting moving. Somewhere up there is the track. I've decided to find my own way. Woohoo, wish me luck. So when I talk about following a contour line, what I mean is that on a topographical map, there's all these lines that represent elevation. So as you can see from this little screenshot from my topographical maps, you can see that I'm right in the middle between two contour lines. So what I'm planning to do is to stay there in that spot between those two, because as you can see, the track is going to cross that point in the not too distant future. The other nice thing with these topographical maps, as you can see with this blue sort of shaded triangle, is it also tells you which way you're pointing. So I know I'm pointing in the right direction. Between these two contour lines, the path's going to cross it soon. I've got high confidence I'll be fine. What is that I see up there? A white post with a little orange triangle. So there we go. There's the path, you guys. Perfect. My rain pants have got a hole in them, a big hole. They ripped they ripped right through the crotch, yay. So I haven't got my rain pants with me, and this is an example of why it pays to wear rain pants after it's been raining if you're walking through these tussock grasses, because just look at the water that comes off them. You walk through them, brush through them, the water goes down your legs, soaks into your trousers, under your gaiters, into your socks, and right now my feet are squishing around. So yes, my suggestion is take rain pants and wear them the day after the rain if you're on a track where there's a lot of tussocks that are crossing the path. You'll be pleased you did. Or like me, carry a nice set of dry clothes and shoes for the drive home. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy these ones over here as well. They're also ones where I stayed out without a tent. See you guys on the next trip. I'll do my best to have Indy with me then. I know you guys miss her. Take care. Bye.